Hey, what's good, everybody? Comment, like, subscribe, share the video. So, the whole Aries Spears Vlad TV situation, it's pretty bad. I mean, I'll start off by saying this: Vlad really messed up the moment he let the world know how much booze he was making. 25. Wow, that's a lot. You know, and I understand he couldn't do more for Boozy, but letting the world know that is where he messed up. You know, I'm not the businessman he was talking about recently. Like, y'all don't understand because y'all ain't, y'all don't do business, and I'm a businessman. I got to do this, and and I understand that. I respect that, but where take this advice. And I'm not a businessman, but you should probably do this. NDA. Make them sign an NDA so they're not allowed to disclose, and you yourself don't disclose how much they make, because this whole situation was brought up because you decided to let the world know how much Boozy was making. You should have never said that. You could have just used, he's making X and he wanted Y. Like, you could have just done an example. You didn't have to give the exact number. By doing that, you put a target on yourself. So you're gonna have people wanting more money. And you did that to yourself. And now it also makes me think about the whole Marlon Wayne situation, that you could have paid him what he was asking for. Maybe the whole situation where he owns certain rights on the interview, maybe that was asking for a little too much. But the 40 G's he wanted, you could have paid him if you wanted to. You just didn't want to. Also, you were talking about how that you could make the same amount of money interviewing yourself while than interviewing Aries Spears. I'm gonna need you to prove that. That's a horrible thing to say, disrespectful. It makes you come across like how people already view you, thinking that you're a star and you're bigger than what you actually are. I'm not saying that you haven't accomplished a lot and that Vlad TV isn't an amazing platform. It is, and I'll give you credit on that. But where you're messing up is that you are talking as if you're a star, and you are beyond what you are. You're an interviewer, man. You yes, you might have had your DJ career and all that, but nobody knows you as that. Let's be honest. We know you for these interviews, and the reason we know you for the interviews is because you have the people that you have on there. If those people weren't there, then people wouldn't know you, and you gotta understand that. You gotta understand that your fame comes with other people's attached to it. Your fame doesn't come alone, and that's the issue here. It seems like you think that you're bigger than what you are. Again, I'm not taking away what you've done, but you need to acknowledge the fact that people watch for Aries. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't watch not one bit of Vlad until I saw Godfrey on there, until I saw Aries on there. And every once in a while I may watch another comedian or someone that catches my attention, or maybe you might put something in a title where you might ask a certain person a certain question, or whatever is the biggest news. Like when you were doing the interviews about the whole Diddy situation, I watched a couple of interviews that I probably normally would have never watched. So I'll give you that. But guaranteed, if it was Aries, I was gonna watch it. And now, if you're not gonna do Aries Spears interviews, I'm probably not gonna watch it. Maybe not as often, because I'm not the type to just unsubscribe for no damn reason. But I probably won't watch as often if or ever if there's not something that's interesting on there. I can understand that for Vlad, that he felt upset when he saw the whole the podcast where Aries was talking with his co-host Andy, and they were talking about the whole situation about getting paid more. But out of that whole interaction, I wasn't sensing any kind of crazy ill will from Aries, and there wasn't any kind of disrespect. I mean, the only thing that they did mention was the whole the thing that you think that you're a star, and they were saying that you weren't trying to get in pictures and stuff. And according to you in your interview, you were saying that a fan asked you to take the picture. You were on the sideline, which that's this is one of those situations where it's his side, and then the truth. I don't know, but The interview, though, at the end of the day, the podcast, it didn't come across as disrespectful. But when you did this whole entire interview, this hour-long interview, you completely shitted on Aries and his podcast and his partner. And it makes me feel that you had this in the chamber and you've been wanting to say it for the longest time. You just didn't have a reason to until now. And now that you have the reason, you just let it all out. And I feel like there's no coming back from that. I think that you went way too far. Maybe if you could have just been like, I didn't appreciate this and I'm not going to pay you that. And, you could have kept it at a certain level, but you went off on him. And by going off as much as you did, it's like the Godfrey situation with that there's no coming back. Too much disrespect happened. Aries said that he's willing to come back and he'll do it for free just so he could do face to face. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Maybe you might consider it just because that would go pretty viral. After this whole debacle that just happened with this interview, but I don't think that you have respect for Aries, and the reason I say that is because, again, the way you went off on him, you've been holding that in. And even since you've had that falling out with Boozy, you have yet to come at Boozy in any type of way the way you came at Aries. You've been waiting to talk about Aries this badly, and it hasn't, but he didn't talk about you like that. Again, he did mention that he wanted more money and that you guys were talking, and he put it out there into the world. Yes, he did that. I'm not going to say he didn't, but he did not shit on you like you shitted on him in this interview. Like, it just felt that way. And I understand that Boozy brings in maybe more views, from what you say. I honestly don't watch the Boozy interviews, but you've still been respectful for the Boozy because you expect him to come back. You're hoping that he comes back. That's why you keep your respect for him. But with Aries, since you don't care, you're willing to be super disrespectful. And that's messed up. It's showing a lot of people kind of who you truly are. And as Aries mentioned it as well, you said that you kind of were friends before, but during this interview, you just said that you guys were just business acquaintances, and it is what it is. So, yeah, it's kind of showing me that your true colors. You're not the best person to be around. It sounds like you're kind of a fake guy, like extremely fake, because it means that you're just gonna be friendly to me in my face, and then behind my back, oh, we were just business partners, and you're gonna shit on me if something happens that is not to your liking. As stated, there was no need to get that disrespectful. There was no need to talk about his podcast and his views and the amount of people that go there and the quality of his stuff. Aries is a type, he's been very old school. I think where Aries has failed when it comes to social media, it's the fact that he waited way too long because he's very old school. So he went, the original comedian route, which is going from nightclub to nightclub, and then eventually, you make it on a sitcom and stuff like that. The old school way, where things have changed, with social media. Aries got onto social media, but he got on a bit later, and he still hasn't worked out all the kinks when it comes to that. You decided to make your platform the way what you made it. And again, it's a very successful and a very well done platform, but I still don't give you the right to be so disrespectful to people, and that's where you're messing up. By doing this, you're showing people who you truly are, and I think that can affect other people coming on, and a lot of the relationships that you currently have that might be fine right now. A lot of people may look into this interview and be like, I don't know, Vlad's coming across a certain kind of way, or wow, I don't like the way he just did that to Aries. Maybe I shouldn't be on there. And it can affect you. You may think right now it's not, but it can affect you. I agree that your platform has revitalized Aries in when it comes to his social media presence. But when it comes to his comedic stylings and what he was doing as a comedian, I don't think it affected him there. Because you were, again, that was another thing you were doing. You were talking about how he was barely getting by. He didn't do no European tours. He had done Europe before that. He had done all these other things. But you're making it sound like he was in a basement, just 50 people. And because he was on your show, now he's getting a room with 3,000 or so. That's kind of messed up. He's been in comedy for the longest time. And then that was the other thing you were saying. You were saying that people don't mess with Aries um, because of the way he is. That's not true. The reason why people don't mess with Aries because he has a mouth on him. He constantly gives his opinion, and sometimes his opinion can be um, like how you have been, disrespectful, or just or too honest. Like and he does things because he's a comedian, so he's gonna make certain things very funny. But obviously, whoever he's talking about, if there's someone who's higher up that can help him in his career, they're not gonna give him the green light if in a recent interview he might have said something that that person didn't appreciate. And that's kind of what's happened with Aries Spears' career throughout his life. He's always said something. He was always put his foot in his mouth, and that's what has affected him from moving to those next levels. But you cannot hate on him, as a comedian. He has done his thing. Again, I feel like you've been holding onto this for the longest time, and you've been wanting to unleash this, and you just found the excuse to do so. I don't see this getting fixed up. You would have to apologize like crazy, but who knows? And I guess anything's possible, but I don't see it happening. I always wanted for Vlad to fix things with Gottfried as well, because I enjoyed those interviews, but now it's twice where I've seen Vlad show how he can be, and he's done it with Aries, and I'm sorry, with Gottfried, and now with Aries. So yeah, I don't see things getting any better. And again, I'm not saying that Aries doesn't take a part in this, but I feel like you completely demolished talks of negotiations. If y'all are supposed to discuss this, y'all could have discussed it, and you just made it so that discussion is out the window. I mean, if you ask me. Yeah, he really messed up with everything he said with the whole he had to hire a makeup artist specifically for him. You know what he was doing when you bring up a makeup artist. You're just implying, female type behavior, gay behavior, because men are not known for wearing makeup and doing this and doing that. But that's the entertainment industry. People put on makeup all the time before they get on camera. Maybe you may not have done that for all your other interviews, or maybe you have and you're just specifically saying that just to make Aries look bad. Who knows what's the real truth? But it wasn't necessary. This is what I mean when I say that it's good luck trying to fix this relationship. Or again, you just wanted to completely destroy it because you've been had years of pent up aggression towards maybe a sly remark that Aries might have said to you, or during interviews Aries does hold you accountable, and maybe that's why you're like, hey, you know what, screw it, I'm done with him. And you've been holding on to that one, so now you you try to get off on him by saying no, he wears makeup, or the whole one where you said that he needed a towel because he's overweight. There's some people that just in general they run hot, and then they'll just sweat under lights. You run a professional thing. You don't have a bunch of lights. It's not a room where a bunch of lights everywhere, the cameras on. You'll get hot. Some people run hotter than others, but instead of just leaving those things that they have no point in the conversation. You just have to point it out just to embarrass Aries because you wanted to say something disrespectful. So he needed to tell because he's overweight, according to you. These are reasons why people talk shit on Vlad, because he's one of those types of people that when he's cool with you, he's gonna say all the nicest things, but the moment something doesn't go his way, he's going to shit on you in the worst possible way and make it seem like he was always a good guy and you were always the bad person. I've been noticing that, and so far it looks like it's true. Again, you shouldn't have involved Andy Steinberg inside of this situation. This is all a problem between you and Aries, and for you to say that his comedy act is one of the worst act that you've ever seen ever. He's a 60-year-old that has nothing better to do. It's super disrespectful. Sounds extremely personal. Sounds like you've had an issue with Andy since the beginning, or just that you have such a problem with Aries that you're just gonna take it out on Andy. Andy didn't say anything crazy on you, and anything he said was somewhat of a slight, but it came with an agreement with what Aries was saying, not Andy. So for you to take it out on him and talk so badly on this guy like that, I don't know, it just comes across as super disrespectful, super personal. Like if you have issues with him personally, I don't get that, why you would do that. Like this would have to be because you really just wanted to be over with Aries, because it makes no sense for you to think that there can be some sort of solution after talking as badly as you did. But again, this goes out to everybody. You know, let me know in the comments what y'all think. You know, maybe I'm going a little too hard on Vlad here, but I just don't see how Aries was so in the wrong for asking for more money, because $4,000 all this time, and he was getting even less than that before that. It's kind of messed up, man. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Like always, comment, like, subscribe, share the video.